Have you ever seen a cake that made you say, wow, that's awesome? I have. And I love seeing cakes that make me say, I wish I could do something like that. Most of us have made some form of cake, whether it was for our birthday or just an after-dinner dessert. But I always thought the one thing that was really cool was the way they used cake fondant to make the neatest creations. So I decided I'm going to learn how. I did a lot of research and a lot of trial and error, and I finally got the hang of making my own cake fondant. The purpose of my speech today is to inform my audience how to decorate a cake using cake fondant. Today I'm going to tell you what you need to start this process, the recipe for making your own cake fondant, and how to decorate using that cake fondant. First, you have to bake and icing the cake. The cake needs to be refrigerated for about 15 to 20 minutes. You can purchase pre-made fondant, but the problem with that is that it's pretty expensive. And according to Peggy Weaver at www.whatscookingamerica.net, she stated, the worst thing about pre-made cake fondant is that it doesn't taste very good, and most people peel it off the cake like an orange rind. If you choose to make your own cake fondant, you can follow this recipe that I got from www.wilton.com. 1 16-ounce bag of miniature marshmallow, 1 bag of powdered sugar, roughly 2 pounds, 2 to 5 tablespoons of water, and a half a cup of Crisco. First, you will need to melt your marshmallow for 30-second intervals. Between those 30-second intervals, be sure to stir your marshmallow mixture. You will also need to add 2 tablespoons of water to that mixture. Once your mixture is completely melted, it'll be time to start with your powdered sugar. Now, the powdered sugar needs to be sifted, and this makes sure that there's no clumps or anything in your fondant when you're ready to use it. So make sure you sift the powdered sugar into your marshmallow mixture. And according to Peggy Weaver at www.whatscookingamerica.net, you should reserve about a quarter of that powdered sugar for your working station. Now, once the mixture has been completely absorbed by the powdered sugar, it is time to cover it with plastic wrap and set it to the side for about an hour. Your cake must be covered completely in icing before you're able to apply the fondant. And according to Marsha Wimbeckler at www.cakesuppliesplus.com, an all butter buttercream icing will give the best, firmest surface. After icing your cake, you should chill it in the fridge for about 15 to 20 minutes to make the surface firm. Now that we have our cake baked and covered with the icing, I will tell you how to cover and decorate your cake with fondant. First, we need to prepare our workstation. We can use parchment paper or a silicone mat. When using your parchment paper, you're going to have to cover the entire counter in Crisco. And this will also help you to not make your fondant stick to your surface. And also be sure to cover it with powdered sugar or cornstarch will work as well. Then we unwrap our fondant and begin kneading it. We want to make sure we have our hands covered in the Crisco as well to stop us from sticking the fondant to our hands. We will knead the fondant until it feels like Play-Doh. Once you are in this stage, you can add gel food coloring at this point to color your fondant. We take our rolling pin and begin rolling the fondant until it is about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. We can purchase mats that will tell us how big to roll out the dough, or you can measure the top of the cake and the side of the cake. When measuring the side, you will have to add that twice, meaning an 8-inch cake with a 3-inch side would be 8 plus 3 plus 3. Give yourself an extra inch just to make sure you have plenty of room to work with. When your fondant has been completely rolled and is large enough, we stop rolling. We have to make a sticky surface on our cake to act as a glue for the fondant. There are a couple techniques for doing this according to Country Kitchen Sweet Art Incorporated. You can brush your entire cake with piping gel, or you can use water as a glue for your fondant. You can brush it on evenly or spray it on with a water bottle. Spritz your entire cake. After applying the glue, you will use the rolling pin to lift your fondant by draping your fondant over your rolling pin and then laying the fondant over the top of the cake. The fondant will then be draped over the sides. Next, using a fondant smoother, be sure to smooth the entire top of the cake. Next, begin smoothing down your sides, but do not pull on the fondant. This will cause it to tear. Just continue smoothing your sides until the entire cake is covered with a smooth surface. Next, take your fondant cutter or a pizza cutter and trim off the excess. Once again, go over your entire cake to be sure it is completely smooth. If there are any air bubbles, you can use a pin to poke the air bubble from the side. Now your cake is covered with fondant, and you can cut designs out of the remaining fondant and use the piping gel to apply them like a glue. You can make flowers or roses or anything you would like out of that fondant. In conclusion, I told you how to decorate a cake with fondant and how much fun it can be to do. I have instructed you on how to start your cake decorating process, have told you the materials you will need, and a homemade recipe for the fondant, and I explained how to cover your cake with the fondant. I felt qualified to tell you how to decorate a cake with fondant because I have done this quite a few times and I've done a lot of research. So the next time you see an awesome cake that catches your eye, you will know how you can make it. And if to top it all off, it's a lot of fun to play with. There are lots of videos and tutorials that can give you a lot of information and great ideas for your next cake. Also, if you live close to Michael's, which is an arts and crafts store, they have classes that you can take.